Welcome to another episode of the Waffle Shop podcast. Today, I'm joined by probably one of the most talented people I've had on the podcast so far. It's Glen Murphy, the dancer, singer-songwriter, BGT champion. Welcome to the Waffle Shop.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be in the waffle shop.
Don't start dancing already. I saw your neck go then.
I forget, I'm on camera. You forget it's in a podcast and you think, oh, visual.
So either that or you just kind of like wafting away the sweat. Literally
Oh,
is.
the heat.
It is probably one of the most hottest days of the year so far. So I really appreciate. Yeah, I dread to
My
think
pleasure,
what's
mate.
we're gonna look like at the end of this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sweat patches are just going to grow as the episode goes on. Yeah.
How are you doing anyway? You all good?
Yeah, I am all good, mate. Yeah, like you said, just enjoying the sun, but also trying to survive the sun at the same time. So
Yeah.
not complaining because I'm one of the people who have been waiting for it to be sunny. But then when it comes, like you forget that nowhere is built for it here. So
To be
yeah.
fair, it's the perfect way. There's obviously this is how I start each one of my shows. It's something called the weekly waffle, and I think it's very fitting. To be fair, it's a very British thing to do to like bemoan so much that it's cold 90% of the time. The first bit of sun, it's like it's too hot. I'm
Yeah.
melted. Can't deal with this.
People always ask, like, oh, would you rather be too hot or too cold? And people say too hot. And I think, no, because once you're butt naked, you can't get any colder. At least when you're like, when you're
Exactly.
cold, you can put clothes on heaters, blankets, fireplace. Like, you can keep upgrade, run on the spot. But once you're naked in the sun, you can't, in the shade, you can't do anything else. You can, get some ice or something, but literally that's it. And you can't escape it.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% that.
Yeah.
To be fair, the thing that's been bothering me is kind of linked to the heat. It's pillows. Like it's like when it's this hot and you're trying to sleep, there is nothing worse than like I don't know, like things touching you. But then it's like pillows and having to constantly turn the pillow to like the
To get the
cool
cold
side.
side.
Yeah. Why has no one invented like a cool pillow or something?
I'm sure I've got a pillow that's meant to have half of it is like a cooling side. It's got like a
Yeah.
cooling on it, and the other side's normal. Once obviously you put the actual cover on it, I don't know which one it is, but I'm pretty sure I've never felt the effects of it. So I don't know what one it is, but it's none of the four that I have on the bed. So
How many pillows do you have?
I've got four, but I use one. The rest just get chucked on the floor every day. So I don't know why they're there, but it's one of
So,
those
it's
things.
fair. I don't know why I asked that.
Part of the look, isn't it? Part of the
This is
look.
my thing. Do you have like a, because I have a pregnancy pillow as well. I mean, obviously I'm not pregnant. Obviously I'm not, well, that's a different conversation. But I have a pregnancy pillow as well. And it's like sometimes I'm like, how many pillows is too many pillows?
Yeah, I don't know. I used to have one of those before to like you could sit in it and it was way
Yeah.
more comfy. But then you got that plus like whatever pillows. Then sometimes you get the little small ones. And after time, like I said, I just put them on the
Just put 'em on
floor.
the
And
floor.
then all you're doing is putting the dusty pillows back onto the bed. It just doesn't make any sense. Does it? For the sake of someone maybe coming around and seeing your place for the first time, you are just showing them around for it to kind of look nice. Otherwise, whose purpose is it?
No,
Once it should just have one single pillow in the middle of the double bed, and that's it.
that's it.
Nothing else
Job
is
done.
needed.
Well, thank you for joining me. It's been that was it. That's all I wanted to ask.
Yeah, and take care. All the best. Enjoy the sun.
Is there anything that kind of gets on your nerves that you'd like to get
Um,
off your chest today?
oh, I wish I had thought of something before because there's so many little things that are just really grind your gears, as they say. I think there's loads of things that people are annoyed with, like the loud chewing thing. I know is a thing for loads of people.
Oh,
But I
yes.
seem to have the most sensitive ear to it. Like I could be on the train and you could be 4 seats away, and I could
The
just
next
have a
carriage.
spidey sense. And I'm like, I need to leave carriage. I need to move and go to somewhere else because I cannot. Yeah, I cannot take it.
I'll get the
That
bus.
yeah, that thing for me, I just pick up on it so quickly. Trying to think of something else that really gets to me. What are yours? Like
To be fair, pillows and the heat,
you and pillows.
wasps.
Wasps. I'm
Wasps wind
allergic,
me
so
up.
I'm
Wow. Okay.
the only
Yeah.
thing you see me sprinting from at all times.
I just think they're a very aggressive insect, and I don't really understand why.
Yeah, they're just up in
Like,
your business, aren't they?
yeah, like we have all these conversations of like, especially like around the mental health conversation, like everyone needs therapy, which 100% agree with. But I think it's wasps. Wasps need the therapy more than we
Wasps
do.
need the therapy. Do you know what? You saying that just reminds me, especially with the heat, it all kind of ties in. But obviously, you have to open the window in this heat. But I find that at night, you obviously have to put a light on to open the window, like to obviously be able to see. You open the window and all you get is moths galore. So by the time I go to bed and close the window and look at the ceiling, there's moths
The
everywhere.
cast of A Bug's
So how
Life
can
is up
I
there.
open the window, be cooler, but have the light? I was just sitting in pitch black last night, but the TV light, and all of a sudden you see it on the screen. Like, just, and I'm like, I'll spend another half an hour before I go to bed trying to get it out the window or whatever. Nuisance. So yeah, I'd say that for sure.
Do you know what? Solid effort. I agree with that. And flies.
Yeah, just anything that's just about your business is just
anything.
You
know, there's nothing worse than lying in bed and just hearing like a go
past
your ear.
Or you just feel like, that thing and you go, oh
yeah.
I didn't have got it. Oh no, that's my thing. Spider webs. For some reason, all the time at the moment, I go for walks around my block and I got like not an alleyway, but it's just like a smaller, alley between the houses, and I always get across my chin or across my, and that feeling of like, I don't know if it's on me, it's probably crawling. I have no idea. You don't see it. I don't know how they're everywhere. And I can walk like from my door to my car and it's like a tree and a bench between that. And then when I walk back, I walk through a cobweb and I'm like, how did I miss it the first time? Or how did it jump from there to there and make that line?
How does it get across that? Do you know what? I think these are questions for David Attenborough.
Yeah. It's a Spider-Man thing. I don't know how they're doing that. But yeah, that's not for me. Cobwebs happen all the time at the moment.
I promise you, I haven't brought you on this show just to moan about.
Right, it's nice to get off your chest.
Yeah, I feel better now. You probably feel 10 times worse, but it's to be fair, one of the biggest things, obviously at the moment, you've opened yourself up recently, obviously with the whole kind of mental health conversation, which I can only kind of commend you for, because it is so empowering, especially from like a male to male, knowing not only that someone else is potentially struggling. I know that sounded like, I'm glad other people struggle. I'm not in the slightest, but just having someone else, that other voice to listen to, of just knowing like I'm not on my own. So I need to kind of throw a massive amount of respect your way, because it's incredible what you're doing at the moment. I kind of want to dive back a little bit, because obviously a lot of people will know you from like Britain's Got Talent, obviously being part of Twentytwo Pulse, the whole kind of mental health thing. Like, how did that journey start for you, or has it always kind of been there?
No, I think that's why it was quite shocking, because I think I was someone kind of like understanding how I was feeling. I was kind of someone I wasn't really scared of anything. Like, nothing really affected me. I was very like over positive. Nothing really knocked me down. Even if like bad things happen, I'm very much like find a solution, logical thinker, just get to the next thing, and not scared of any, like, as much as we talked about wasps and all that stuff. Obviously that's something I'm allergic to, but in life, I'm not really scared of bugs. I'm not really scared of heights. Like, nothing really. I'm really I'll jump out of a plane for fun. Like, all that sort of stuff is really like adrenaline based and stuff like that. So I've never really had that thing. So when I had a housemate at the time who had anxiety and used to like get off the train on the way to work because they felt anxious, and they'd come home and be like, oh, I had to get off on the way to work, and I used to be like, what? Just stay on the train. Stop being so silly. I didn't understand it at all. So I think when I started experiencing those sort of things, it hit me really heavy, because it felt like I didn't know me anymore, and everything that I knew and was like very sure of and very like able to push through, now I couldn't. And like I got a lot of like physical symptoms that came with it, and those are things like, as a dancer, I'm so coordinated and used to like knowing my body inside out, knowing injuries and feelings, and like just understanding how everything moves. I know when I'm aching because I did this yesterday, or I went to the gym, or I've done a certain trick and that that pulled my back. So I'm very aware of my body. So when I can feel my leg twitching or shaking, or I can feel that anxiety building up in my muscles, it felt so much worse, because I couldn't stop it and I couldn't control it. And then frustration kicks in, and then it's, I've got to be somewhere else. And now I'm thinking, they're going to see me doing that. So now I'm thinking about it whilst I'm in a meeting, but now I'm sweating because I'm thinking about it in the meeting. It's like these things become like a layered thing, and one after the other, that's how it kind of got too much. And then, that was when I realized, obviously, this is something that I need to start looking into more, and trying to understand how to make my life more comfortable again, I guess.
So it's really interesting, that point, because I imagine, like you said, like the whole like being a dancer, but I imagine you're so kind of in tune with the body. So when that stuff is happening, I imagine it's kind of it's magnified. Like it's so. I know obviously
Yeah.
physical symptoms don't have a sound, but I imagine it was very loud
Yeah,
with your body.
that's exactly what it is, and it's distracting. And it's like
Mm,
I found it harder because everything impacted the next thing. Like I said, being in a meeting and then it happened and it took my mind out of the meeting into that. But then I got frustrated because I know I'm not concentrating. So now I'm putting pressure on myself to try and concentrate. But now because I'm trying to concentrate, then my anxiety is picking up more. So it was like
yeah,
I couldn't win. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't really like a way to balance that out or to kind of find a like segue through it. And because I'm in the moment, I can be like, give me 2 minutes. I need to just go and shake it off, get some fresh air, grab a glass of water because you're trying to listen to someone speak. So you're like very in your head. And yeah, that was very awkward, frustrating like time because I didn't. It's not easier now, but I understand it now. So I know
yeah. It's the
how
education around it, isn't
yeah, I
it?
know how to manage that feeling. I know when I feel like it before I even get to a place or to meet someone or to a meeting. I know when I'm already kind of in that place. So I'm not worried about it because I know it's going to happen and I know it's going to be there. But, if it happens halfway through an hour long meeting, then you're like, I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
It wasn't nice at all.
You know what? I love these conversations, and it's fair. I learned a lot about kind of like my like anxiety, like my mental health in general, and in fact,
Mm.
even to a certain degree, who I was as a person, purely just by having these kind of conversations.
Yeah.
So I genuinely, again, like I'm gonna throw so much, obviously, like gratitude your way because there's something so powerful in just someone saying like, especially when you're in that headspace, it can be the worst possible thing, and it can obviously lead then to like me never putting yourself like in that kind of situation again. But
Yeah.
it's like knowing that there are tools out there, there's conversations that can be had, there's physical things that you can do to kind of really ground you in that kind of
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
And you mentioned there about kind of like taking yourself, giving yourself like a bit of a shake off, like
Mm.
glass of water and stuff. Is there anything else like, when things get to that point that you kind of
Um,
use as a coping mechanism?
if I'm honest, I'm still figuring it out. I'm
Yeah.
still like trying to find what's right. Like there's certain things that initiate other things. Like for instance, like I get like a lot of tension in like my legs, so my legs really shake, and it's been very
Yeah.
apparent like doing this kind of campaign. Obviously, because I've been filming a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff I'm talking, and then when you watch it back, you can just see my legs
Yeah.
crazy. And I know some people do that naturally anyway, but like mine's become like more of a twitch, I guess, than like the normal kind of
Wow.
security leg shake. It's like my foot is. I could be watching a film and my foot's doing its own thing, and I am really aware of it. But what happens with me is that it causes loads of tension, like in my feet. As a dancer, I got really tight hamstrings. Always have, just from
Yeah.
young. Playing football, they just got tight, and when your hamstrings are tight, it pulls underneath your feet, so your toes do this. So it
Yeah.
feels like my toes are like tense at all times. So
Yeah.
sometimes I have to get up and basically do like hamstring stretches. But that for me is like
Wow.
I get up in the middle of the night, sometimes at 3 in the morning, and my legs are going like twitching from whatever's going on in my head, obviously,
Yeah.
and just that thing. And I have to get up and at the side of the bed, lean over and just stretch for like 15, 20 minutes just to get the tension, blood flowing like out of my legs. And that can help like just relax the overall like tension of it. Cause it feels like, I don't know, it's that thing of like if you have an elastic band and you pull it and it's going, it's like when
Yeah.
it's like that. Whereas if you relax the elastic band, you don't get that flicky feeling. So it's like it takes that natural twitch thing out of it. So that's like a very, very physical thing. But other stuff, it's just talking to yourself, telling myself in the head that it's not going to last, and
Yeah.
uh, just trying to concentrate and trying not to. It's been easier because a lot of closer people know and closer people understand. But I also find it weird because when you tell someone what you do, you think they can then see you doing it,
Yeah.
and you feel weird every time you do it. Like I gasp for breath all the time. It's just my thing. And you now will hear me do it throughout this conversation. And like I don't think anyone's ever noticed it and ever said it to me before, but I am so aware of it. And now obviously
Yeah.
when I'm having conversations and people ask, oh, like what sort of things you do? And I say that. Now when I do it around some friends, they're like, oh, you're doing that thing. And I'm like, if I never said it, no one would even noticed
No
it.
one
But
noticed.
I felt like it's the most obvious thing ever. Do you know what I mean? To the point I was in the cinema with a friend the other day and he turned to me and was like, you all right? And I was like, yeah, why? And he's like, you sound like you can't breathe. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. But I didn't even know because it's just a natural get as much into, because my chest feels like tighter than normal. So it
Yeah.
just feels like you're trying to get that little bit more air, but it just becomes a natural body, like, reaction, I guess.
Do you feel, obviously, you're in the public eye, people know you obviously for doing what you do. Was there an element of like fear, I guess? Because one of the biggest things I really struggled with, obviously, I know I'm nowhere near like obviously where obviously you are, but one of the things that really always petrified me about speaking about my mental health is like, what if people judge me? What if people look at me different? What if kind of, that whole kind of, I guess why we're having this conversation is to come to break that stigma.
Yeah.
Was there an element of fear, obviously being in the public eye, to talk about it?
Yeah, and I think it's been a very like surreal experience in the fact that it's I've been anxious the whole time of it. It's like it's made me, not made me worse, that sounds bad, but I feel heavier weight doing it
Yeah.
because it's making me anxious talking about it. And it's like I find it hard because I know I'm being more open about it, but now like my mum and my dad and that know,
Yeah.
they're listening to the things like this and they're watching the podcast. So now the way they check up is so like they're checking up all the time or like always asking things. And I sometimes I'm just like, I'm fine, relax. Like it's
Yeah.
not that big a deal. But they can obviously tell that it is a big deal. And that is my coping thing of saying like, no, I'm fine. But sometimes I am fine
So
and I'm
you
like,
literally you
relax.
can't
But I don't
win,
want them
can
to
you?
feel like it's scary. But it's like if you don't say it, like you said, it's a stigma, and it's also just like the fear of other people thinking, I don't know, like I meet people now that obviously know this stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like I said, they might see and think, oh my god, he's feeling really bad today, and then it's like they just overcompensate, which
Yeah.
is understandable because people are trying to help, and I really appreciate that. But at the same time, sometimes I am trying to just. It feels better to just be me. I wish
Yeah.
no one knew, so I can just deal with it how I need to deal with it. So it's ups and downs. The main thing is that a lot of messages and stuff I've got since doing it have been incredible, and like people that are just like either been able to speak to someone they haven't before, or I get a lot of messages from a lot of women saying like my dad or my brother or my son, and I
Amazing.
feel like now I've shown them your video, and they started talking to me more, and like my son listens to your song and he sings it and stuff, and then I go, how are you feeling today? And he's like, no, good. And it's like that sort of stuff is literally and every time I feel like, oh, this is a lot, I just think, oh, as long as I keep
That's the
getting
one.
those responses, then it's all good.
Mate, it's honestly, I have so much respect for it. It's so powerful. And there's something like for a huge period of time, especially from like a man, like we're so scared to be vulnerable. We're so afraid to kind of show that kind of level of like emotion. Whereas, like it's almost that like, no one cares in the nicest way possible.
Yeah.
Like they, not that they don't care. That was probably the wrong thing to say, but like they obviously do
Depends
care.
how
But
you
like
mean.
their
Yeah.
concern isn't kind of for the bigger picture. It's just you making sure you're okay, that you've got what you need to kind of get through. Like I honestly, I absolutely love it. I love these conversations, to be fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got
Um,
like a lot better with having them, but like I said, it's been, I didn't realize how much weight it would be
yeah,
talking about it all the time, because it's like one of my friends messages like, you good night, yeah, and he's like, he does a lot of stuff with like mental health. He's doing a documentary called Traumality, my friend Ton, and it's about the link between childhood trauma and your mental health now. So he's like really into it. So he like we make a point of checking in on each other. But he was like, how are you actually doing? And I was like, if I'm honest, the campaign's been incredible, but I didn't realize how hard it would be to read the good messages, but also messages telling me their story of what they've struggled
yeah,
with. Because I'm basically just reading really, heavy
yeah,
stuff, a lot of heavy comments. And like, I don't get me wrong, I want that to just keep flooding in. But I
yeah,
didn't realize how much it was for me to have this conversation, then go and read them comments, then go and edit
yeah,
my video of my mum crying at me playing her song to then, do you know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
every day it felt like a constant flow of like talking about mental health, and that is the best thing to do, to talk about it. But I didn't realize it'd be such a kind of weight in such a big amount, I guess, at one time.
With the Tourette, I completely, obviously, not on probably on the level that you have experienced that, but I got very overwhelmed with it at one point,
Mm.
and I felt like I had to respond to every message. I had to kind of be there, and it kind of got to a stage where, on my good days, I almost felt a level of guilt that
Yeah.
I was having a good day and everyone else wasn't having a good day.
Mm.
But it's just kind of, I think what I do now is just kind of reassure myself that, it doesn't always have to be bad. It doesn't always have to be good. There's something incredibly kind of beautiful in kind of
Mm.
going between like the both. Um, but I think it just shows just the impact that you're having and kind of just it's the ripple effect of just letting other people know that it's okay to feel shit sometimes. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
honestly
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Um, one of the things I have to talk about, we talk about music quite a lot on the show, obviously, music and mental health. It's
Yep.
my biggest coping mechanism when it comes to like my bad days or to be fair, even the good days, like it's that instant kind of mood changer. Why why music? Why was that an outlet for you? Is that something that's always been there?
Yeah. It's always been there, and it's always been like a close kept secret, I guess, that I like between me and like my close friends know. And I've done a lot of writing with
Mm.
other people, but never put anything out. Like, I've got loads of songs and I've had loads of songs for years, but they're
Yeah.
just for me. And it's stuff like demos that I might make, or, I sing a little bit on something and then never touch it again. And it's always kind of sat there. And the best thing about this was that I had recorded the song in this room like a year and a half, 2 years prior to this whole thing happening,
Wow.
and it was
Okay.
just a therapeutic. I found the guitar and made the instrumental, and then just literally pulled the mic over and recorded. Like, it was about three-quarters of the song in one evening, like 3 in the morning. And I just used to play it in the car, and it just used to be on my phone. I used to play it, and it was only as time went by, like I was really liking it, and then I thought, oh, it was not this Christmas. It might have been, no, the Christmas before this. I paid for a studio session with a guy that I know
Yeah.
was like really good, just so I could focus on the singing bit, and I paid for it as like my Christmas present to myself. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, cool, I get like the
Love
cool
that.
demo so I can actually play it. So again, I lived with that song for another 6 months for myself, just playing it in the car. And it was only when Twitch, the dancer from the Ellen show, he was the DJ on that, he took his own life. And it's
Yes.
a big thing like in the world, but it's very much in the dance community, like someone that we all looked up to. And I was really frustrated, like, oh, another person that we've lost, kind of thing. Can't believe, like, and I was writing an Insta message, like story, being like, we need to start talking to each other. And I just felt like a hypocrite. I just felt like,
Yeah.
how can I tell everyone to talk? And I've never said anything. I'm still sitting here, and I still found it hard to do this. And I thought, rather than just starting from the beginning and feeling like I need to tell everyone individually, like this sort of thing, just put the song out. Because one, it's creative, it's very much me. I love music. I love the idea that I could make a video to it and make the campaign around it. And once it become like more of a
Powerful.
creative project, it felt more authentic. It felt more like something that I would actually do, rather than like put my phone up and just talk to the camera and say, I've been struggling, and do one of those sort of videos. I've always found that like that's not it's not something I could be good at, and I'd watch it back,
Yeah.
anxiety of what I look like and what I've said. I'd be editing, I'll just never get it out. There's no point. Whereas the song, if I think of it, forget the topic, think of it of like how it sounds, make sure that it's mixed well and mastered, and just very project based,
Mhm.
and then let the impact do itself. And just like I've always said, it's like that's my like open letter to the world, but also it's that kind of just open the doors and just chuck it out, and then as it comes down, whatever comes back from it comes back from it. Do you know what I mean? It's just out there.
Yeah.
People can start from the beginning and hear it from scratch, and then the video obviously then tells more of like a intimate side to how I was actually like feeling and being. So yeah, it's always been in my blood. I just never I've never had
Never
the
did it.
to just go
Do you
and
know
do
what
it.
I love about that though, mate? Is the fact that those words that were obviously your words got you through like what it sounds like that 1 to 2 years before the world had even like a sniff of like what this kind of body of work was going to be. And I
Yeah.
think now to be in a position to be like, I guess that was how did it feel once? Because obviously for anyone who hasn't obviously listened to it, it's made it out alive. It stopped me in my tracks.
Oh
It
wow.
literally like it gave me the goosebumps, which is for a fact it's a good one. The goosebumps,
Yeah.
they don't lie. But it did stop me track. How did it feel? Like, do you still remember the first time you played it out loud with it like fully mastered for like it the kind of the finished project?
Yeah.
How did that feel?
It's weird. Like the song in general obviously makes me feel emotional, but like yeah, the kind of thing behind it, because obviously I opened up to some of my closer friends obviously first, just to make sure I
Yeah.
was just because even like being creative and like thinking you can until you show someone and someone goes it's not, maybe you
It's a
shouldn't put your
slippery
song
slope.
out. Yeah, like yeah, you can't actually tell. Do you know what I mean? Like I think I have a great ear for music, but at the same time, you know, I'm not been a singer, so I don't really have a grasp to know. And I think it was when I played it to like a few of my close people, and I saw how it hit them. And I've got a few things where I played like to my friend on Zoom, and like he broke down in tears straight after.
Yeah.
I was like, and then he brought his wife in and they voice noted and was like, I feel like you're saying everything I can't say. And it's like as soon as I started hearing things like that,
Wow.
one of my other friends, he lost his dad like 6 months ago, and he's been struggling with it like loads. And he just like cried for like 10 minutes straight, like on Zoom, and I just sat here. And like I felt like awkward, but in like the best way of just like
Yeah.
a release for him. It wasn't like he's just sad and he's just obviously now crying about what he's lost. He was just experiencing that feeling of like he's got to hear now, and like and he just and those moments were made me go, okay, maybe if that's already enough.
Yeah.
So as long as I got maybe if I get one more of them or two more of them responses, it's already something. So and then obviously the feedback normal of just like, oh, we love the song and it is really good, and like I've been singing it. The next day I'll get a message going, oh, I've still got that song in my head, and I was like, oh, it's obviously done the job of an actual song as well
Song.
as
Yeah.
touching that. I didn't realize how like generic, not generic in a sense, but how like relatable it was to everyone. I went back and listened to it and
Massively,
thought,
mate.
yeah, but as in I didn't realize that I thought it was more personal in terms of I don't know, that the lyrics being like sat in a coffee shop at 6 o'clock and I met da da da, like very much like a story that I had, or that time I went to Thingy's house. Like Ed Sheeran's got quite a lot where, it's based on him, and you know that he's driving to a specific place at a specific
Yeah.
time and he met a girl called da da da. And it's like, if you didn't do that, you can relate to the idea of the story and going to meet your old high school love or something, but the actual story when you're singing along isn't you, it's his exact thing. Do you know what I mean? Whereas this, as I went through each line, I was like, anyone could be saying this. It could
Yeah.
literally be your own voice and your own thing. And that's when I realized it was bigger than me, if that makes sense. It was bigger than like my story. It was more of an anyone's story. And even the chorus, when it felt really lazy at the time, saying made it, yeah, you made it, yeah, I made it, yeah, you made, like 5 times. But the idea of like looking in the mirror and saying it to yourself, or the person listening feeling like you're saying it to them, and then them repeating it in their head, there was so many layers that started to just all lined up, and I didn't plan it. And that's why I was like, it was obviously meant to be for me to put it out. Because you could have easily gone, oh, it's mental health week coming up, I should write a song and like put it out and do
No.
like, do you know what I mean? You could really like, contrive something like that, but to try and get views and go viral and stuff like that. But this felt like everything was aligning just how I wanted it to.
Do you know what? It's really interesting that you said like the made it part, because I wrote down 2 lines in the song, because I have this weird thing with lyrics, especially with the songs, like because I feel like this is what I relate to. I feel like there's someone out there. I think this is what's beautiful about music. There is someone out there going through what I'm going through, but they're able to kind of articulate it in a way that I can never do before. But there is 2 lines from it. One of them was they made it, because I don't think we give ourselves enough credit sometimes to realize like we've like beat 100% of our bad days. Like no one else did that for you, like you did that. And it's
Yeah.
it was that kind of realization for me when I heard it, like, yeah, do you know what? I have made it. Like I've I survived this. But the other part of the one that I made note of was the not going down without a fight song, the lyric, because it's that kind of, again, it's so easy sometimes for us, especially when you are struggling, to kind of just to throw in the towel. And it was just that little reminder of like, do you know what? No, you're more than this. You're
Yeah.
more than your mental health. You've got to keep going. So there was those 2 lines in particular that I was just like, do you know what? Yeah, I was hooked.
Yeah, thank you, man. No, it means
Powerful,
a lot.
mate.
Like it means a lot, and I love what you just said about like we beat 100% of our bad days. That's such a like amazing quote. I wish I'd heard it earlier. Could have been saying in every interview. No, it's so good because yeah, that's exactly it, and that's what the post-it notes in the video was to represent.
Yes.
Each one was a bad day, but by doing another one, was saying that you got past that one, and that was the whole
Yeah.
point. So you see this wall of covered in post-it notes, and again, can feel overwhelming to be like, oh my God, look at all of this sad things. But at the same time, if you look at it as like, wow, I got through all of these, because every single time I thought that was going to be the worst day in the world, I woke up for that one. And that's why the last one, the yellow one, is saying made it out alive, to be like, well, yeah, I beat all of them
Made
and I'm
it.
still here. So, and you might go back to the blue one the next day. You might go back to the sad things, but at some point, you know, you made it out alive is
Do you
another.
know what as well? And I don't know if this was even like a thing when obviously the concept and everything was put together for the video, but it was always that kind of like the blue is always the kind of like, you know, you feel a little bit blue and stuff like that. But then when I saw that yellow one, I was like, it's like that little ray of sunshine through
Yeah,
all of that. That was like,
yeah,
I don't know if obviously that was the thing, but that's
yeah,
genuinely like, I was like,
yeah, it was.
it generally made me smile. I was like,
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I'm glad you picked up, because a lot of people asked that, like, oh yeah, with other things in the video, and I was like, there's so many layers to the video. Like, even in terms of like, I only wear blue or grey, which is like feeling blue, or grey
great.
skies.
Yeah.
So it's that sort of thing. My bedding in my room, if you look at everything, there's nothing on the sides because it's empty. Because
Yeah.
that's how I felt. The bedding is all like paneled bedding, so it's like,
Pillows all on the
oh,
floor.
yeah, the bedding I used to have was really coloured and black patterned, and this is just like square panels of like emptiness. Again, showing that one of the one of the hoodies I had on had like a puzzle piece, said missing piece. So there's so many things like that. So I made sure that color wise, my friend Hannah is incredible at that stuff, and she was like, yeah, let's really just strip everything back and just make the video feel how you feel, and the colors match that. And then that first big bit of color is the yellow post-it note, to be like you said, the sun is out now, and it's that kind of like stepping out into the new.
Powerful. Did you ever think when you were sat there in your room at like 3 o'clock in the morning, kind of getting those thoughts out of your head into a song, that a few years later you'd be there like creating a music video for those
Never,
words?
never. Even when you say it, we did Canterbury Pride yesterday, and great show and everything. And it was the first time I said, "Oh, I've released a song," and I said it on stage. And
Wow.
everyone's like, "Oh, sing a bit for me," and I was like, "Ah." All of that, but
Okay.
singing it just felt so strange, but so good, because like I love the song. It's not
Yeah.
something, it's like I've definitely made a song like 10 years ago with my mate that someone's got on their phone and it's awful. I would hide from it forever. Whereas this is something like I want to play it all the time, and I'm like, I feel excited when it comes on, even in my own car when it's on shuffle on a playlist and stuff like that. And yeah, just the amount of people that like, as much as obviously people have connected, I've had messages from people just being like, "Oh, this is a banger. Love this song."
Yeah.
It's not really a thing to their mental health. Maybe it's not a big thing in their life. It's not something that's like really affecting them, no one around them, but they just love listening to the song and they just sing along to it. That I love as well. So amazing feeling.
That's the power of music, though, isn't it? Whether you
Mm,
relate to it or not, like it always kind of like that everyone has that soundtrack to their life, whether it's the good, the
yeah.
bad, the ugly, and it's something
Mhm.
like that. Like it's, mate, you know you've done something good. Like even when I first mentioned it, like the smile on your face, just like I feel like like you've done something
Yeah.
special
It's just
with
really
that.
cool. Even the whole campaign, like I want to carry on the Can't Say It Post It campaign forever. And this song was kind of just like the launch pad for that. But
Yeah,
I'm actually, just gonna re-release the song, but maybe an acousticy version, just to kind of like keep that feeling there, because I feel like it was the starting point of it
yeah,
all. But yeah, just all the content and bits and bobs that I've done with it. Like there's so much more that I still haven't even just put out, because I wanted to simmer on it because of the like weight of it all. I didn't want to just keep overwhelming. It's
yeah,
something I realized that it isn't just same as mental health. It's not something that's just for a month. You know what I mean? It's throughout.
yeah.
It's something that I can keep coming back to, and I can keep sharing new experiences, new bits of content that's talking about it or reflecting on something. And there's loads of bits like that. So yeah, I definitely want to kind of stay on top of that. Music for me
Especially
is
when
always
like you're still feeling that yourself. It's all those kind of things where I've experienced it from like a podcast point of view, where it's almost kind of like I have to put myself back into kind of like a certain headspace to be able to kind of create content, and it's tough because it's kind of like you want. So as much as obviously I'm by no way stretch of the imagination cured, there's days like today, like this morning was a particular rough one for me. Whereas
Mm,
now I'm having this conversation, it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be okay. So
yeah.
it's like I'm still kind of like living it. So it's just that I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, to be fair. But it
So
was
you're
just that
right. You
kind
just
of
got to give yourself the flexibility of
yeah,
just, like you said, bouncing between the feelings and just taking each thing as it is. And like, yeah, some days are going to be a lot rougher than others, and some days, like I had some rough days like a few days back, and I just literally didn't want to do anything, didn't want to
Yeah.
post or like do anything to do with it. And I felt like, because it went for like 2 or 3 days, but then the day I felt kind of like refreshed again, I was like, I can't believe I felt like that. It's so
Yeah.
silly. Do you know what I mean? It's that thing, but you learn that it's going to be like that, and it's hard when you're in the bad day. And I'm an emotional music person as well. Like when I feel bad, I put on sad music and I listen to like deep songs, and
Yeah.
I really dive into it, and I watch, Grey's Anatomy, and it's like I really, really sit in that emotional side. You know what I mean? Like I'm very like, I'm an open crier in terms of like, I cry at films in general with my mates, but I cry at good stuff as well as sad stuff. I cry at a superhero landing really cool, and I get super excited and I get emotional because it's so good. I get that cry and I get the sad cry. So when I'm in that place, yeah, like I got some like songs and certain artists that I like really like sit and listen to that capture that feeling and just live in it for that moment of time.
Is there anything else other than music? Like when you say like you're having those kind of bad days, that kind of point. Because imagine, I don't know if I'm kind of putting words into your mouth here now, but like I mentioned dancing, obviously. Imagine that's an outlet for you,
Yeah,
like
to be
before.
honest, it used to be. It doesn't feel so much now because it's become so much of a job.
Yeah,
When I was younger, it was very much more a community slash cultural thing. Like you would go
yeah,
with your mates to a dance show, and you'd all go for food before, and then you'd go do the show, and then you'd all go back to someone's house afterwards. And it felt more of like, yeah, like just the dance community in general. Whereas now it's more booked for a gig, or
yeah,
you have a contract coming up. So like, it doesn't have the same on being on stage. It does, but like rehearsing and like living in it doesn't. I'm not someone that would go to a dance studio and just dance it out like some people feel like. That's never really been what dance is for me. Is Mine's the like, I love the entertaining. It's the product of like making someone else escape. So it's not necessarily my escape. It's my, oh, when someone watches this, they're gonna laugh and think this is amazing. They could be having the worst day ever, but they'll go home and go on YouTube and watch some other videos of us because they thought it was so cool. And that was always my thing: is get the audience out of their heads, put them into this moment for 5 minutes, and then go away laughing and have forgotten what what was bad for them. But for me, like I said, I never struggled before, and I don't think it's transitioned into something I use as that. So that's why music was the thing that did it for me.
that's to be fair. That's a very powerful position to be in as well. It's one of the reasons why I love live music. Is because like
Mm-hmm.
for those 2 hours that I'm at a gig, I'm not worried about anything else other
Yeah.
than being in the moment, like good music. I'm surrounded by good people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very, I've never, to be fair, I don't think I've actually ever spoken about that to someone about being it from that side
Yeah.
rather than kind of the audience. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really interesting kind of topic. When it comes to obviously the dancing, obviously you've incorporated songs like the EastEnders theme tune
Yeah.
to some like absolute bangers. Like when it comes to kind of pulling the music together for like the dance routines, like is that like a huge passion for you as well?
Yeah, definitely. It's me and Ash have both done music since we started dancing. We used
Yeah.
to do it separately for the groups we were in before we met each other. So when we came together, I was the guy who did all our music, and he was the guy who did all theirs, and then we both could do music. It was like, oh, perfect, because now our music's going to be double the split kind of thing. But yeah, finding the right song or finding the right sound effects or the right like moment in music is like, yeah, it's something we love. We spend a lot of time on that music, and again, that's what lent into being both music lovers and finding songs to dance to, but then obviously then just listening to those songs, or some weren't particularly right for our thing, but then you really get into just sitting and listening to songs. We're always sharing songs with each other. We love a long drive and being like, I've got a new playlist, here's
Yes.
all these new songs. Like, we're heavily like influenced by music and very different in terms of our styles. We were a lot similar when we were younger, but as we've grown, our styles have very much changed. But we always have this little pool of like, well, I know Ash will love this song. Like if I get download one, I'm like, I know he'll love this. He'll know I love that. We've got those kind of like few things. So yeah, music has always been there, and it's always like a highlight for us for sure.
I love that.
Mm.
I could sit and have this conversation about music all night.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
one of the things I want to ask about, like obviously, you've stepped out on some of like the biggest stages.
Mm.
There's been a lot of people in that audience. Do you have any like pre-show rituals before you step out?
Yeah, we actually say like a prayer, as much as we both don't like believe in
Yeah.
a certain religion or anything. We just have like it's more of an open prayer to the universe sort of thing that we do before every show, and we always have. And and within it, we have like a thing where we say, make sure it's clean, tight, energy, facial expressions, have fun, and just enjoy it. And we say that every single time before we go on, because it's all good like having the technical things, but we just remember to have fun, enjoy it, and then we always at the end, I always ad lib depending on where we're at or what we're doing. So sometimes it's like yesterday when we did the Pride thing, it was obviously in the sun and it was scorching, and it was like, and make sure that we don't pass out from the heat. So drink lots of water. And that's like, in your name, amen, amen. And then we both say it, and that's always our thing. So we have like a set thing, and then at the end we just ad lib based on where we are. Like, make sure it's a new dance. Like, make sure we don't forget anything, and make sure you always stand on the right and I stand on the left. Great, go. It's just like a little pinpoint. So,
I love that.
yeah, that's always been our tradition. And sometimes we panic because we haven't done it before the show, and we're like, quick, quick, we need to do the prayer before we go on.
Is there any like superstitions with that? Like,
No,
in
we've
terms of, like, oh, this
forgot. It
happens,
just feels
this.
weird. It just feels weird when we don't. Yeah, no, we have definitely forgot a few times. And sometimes when we have like multiple shows in one night, we're like, do we need to do it again? Should we do it before every time we go on? Or is it okay because we've done it in this venue
It's
already?
one size fits all.
Yeah, we just figure it out as we go. There's no kind of like rules or regulations as such.
You mentioned there, obviously, like before you like the rituals and like stepping out on stage and stuff. Has there been times when things haven't gone quite to plan on stage? Like, how do you navigate that? Like, because I imagine from what I'm hearing, like you're a bit of a perfectionist. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like what you like
Mhm.
and stuff like that.
Yep.
How do you navigate? Is there like an element of like kind of it's not self-doubt, that's the wrong word, but like kind of do you kind of beat yourself up a little bit in terms of when things like that happen?
Never really, because not to, it's a hard way to put it. We're so over rehearsed
Yeah.
in the sense that, like perfectionists, that when mistakes happen, it's usually funny because it's because of something out of our control, or
Yeah.
like something to do with the staging, or oh my god, did you see? Because my trainer was caught in the stage and I couldn't move, so I couldn't get to the other side of you for that bit. And I was like, I wonder why you were standing over there. There's that. It's more that sort of thing, and that's funny because it's not because I told you should have practiced that, or
Yeah.
should have gone through it more, or why didn't you do that? Like, it's never like mistakes. If you make a mistake, it's human. Like sometimes I forget a thing, but it's usually I've forgotten it because I know it so well that my brain goes, I should probably have like chicken. And I've only seen something from Asda when I get back, and I'm on stage, and my brain is gone away because my body is
Already on the way home.
moving automatically, but my brain is so relaxed that it's thinking about something else.
Yeah.
And I'm moving 100 miles an hour doing the choreo, and then I randomly, do a wrong arm or something, and that's just one of the things we laugh about after yesterday. We've got multiple versions of certain tracks sometimes, but we used to have a track that had a R. Kelly joke in it. And we took it out because of the whole R. Kelly situation.
Yeah.
It made sense. But it usually comes with like a video. But for this show, they needed the one with the different video basically. So we just sent it off. While we're on stage, the R. Kelly song came in, and we just didn't realize. But Ash just looked at me, and it went into that bit. And usually he goes on the floor, and it's the move your body like a snake.
Yeah.
And he goes on the floor and like drags himself along the floor like a snake. And then he goes, join in. And I drop on the floor, and then we both move like a snake along the floor. But he just move your body like a snake. And he just did like a weird standing up snake move. And then he goes, join in. And then I just did a weird snake move. The exact same move he just did. But he just made it up on the spot. And like, they're the sort of things we came off on, was like, what the hell was that? And was like, who sent the wrong track? And he's like, I just obviously clicked the wrong one and sent it off. But we just laugh about it. It's always funny. It's never like an issue for us.
Do you know what's incredibly powerful about that? I think without you even realizing, there's a really strong message there about like focusing on what you can control rather than what you can't control. And I think when it comes to like life in general, that's the biggest thing. I think one of the biggest things I've learned from the podcast, because you're either worrying about what could happen, what has happened, or like what is probably never going to happen, that you miss those like really special moments.
Yeah.
No, I that's a good answer. Good answer.
Thank you.
With music, obviously, like as I said, I have 3 questions that I ask each and every one of my guests.
Okay.
And I don't send these over beforehand because I like to see like the cogs turn. when they're put on the spot a little bit.
Okay.
And it's the songs that have soundtracked certain moments, obviously for yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you practically live on the dance floor, so I can't imagine it takes a lot. But is there a song that as soon as you hear it, you're like, yep, I need to be on the dance floor?
There's so many. Justin Timberlake, like I Love You. When I hear dun, dun, dun,
Oh,
dun, I'm like, something about you. Dun,
yes.
dun, dun, dun. I'm like, it's my tune. That or like an Usher, You Remind Me. When you hear dun, 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 I'm like, it's my tune. Like, run. I just like singing along to it and just pretending that I'm some sort of pop star.
Well, you are
Yeah.
now.
Oh, something like that. Yeah, not quite Usher, but yeah, I like to
Never
pretend
know.
for a
Never
moment.
know.
Never know.
I mean, I'm predicting there's going to be a storm, so now's your chance to throw
Get
some
out
shapes in the rain.
in the rain. Yeah, catch
So-
for sure. There's always them, but I also like an old school song sometimes, like a "Don't Stop Believing." That will get me like just
Yes.
cheering, like I'm having the best kind of party night rather than dancing. But yeah, that sort of song will get me singing at the top of my lungs at least. Yeah.
Love it. On the flip side of that, is there a song that brings out the feels?
So like a sad song, would you say? Like a
Yeah, or one of the ones that just like the lyrics just kind of like they just grab you and like, oh God, this was written about me.
yeah. I listen to very like obscure artists and music. So most
Okay.
people don't know the songs. So like one of the people is called Quinn Lewis, and he's got a song called Sad for No Reason. And it's so good. And he's basically just
Yeah.
everyone just keeps asking. Sometimes I'm just sad for no reason. And I'm just like, I feel that, like, because sometimes I
Yeah.
can't put my finger on it. And he's got quite a few songs like that where I'm like, oh, you just said it so perfectly. So yeah, Sad for No Reason is one of my like, yeah, top ones that captures my heart. And then my favorite artist of all time is called John Bellion. He
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so he's just written all of Jonas Brothers like Waffle,
I was about to say,
Waffle House,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
And then he
waffle
wrote,
shop. Yep.
yeah.
Nice little plug there.
He's literally, yeah, literally, that's so funny. So yeah, he's written that, and he wrote like "Holy" for Justin Bieber and like all that album.
Ah,
So, but him as an artist is my favorite artist. He's got a song called "Human," and he's basically saying like how hard it is to just be human. And the song is just very like, I like fearing that you give too much. I find the time to drink and smoke, but I can't find the time to call my mum. And it's like there's all these
yeah.
little things that you're like juggling in your life, but you're only human. And it's just so like the song itself, he's got like a very like obscure production, but he's got like a piano ballad version on YouTube, and it just hits that like, yeah, that thing for me. And I remember one time I did a contract with some other dancers, and then one of the guys was really into music, and I was like, oh, hey, listen to this. And he just sat there, and I saw him just start crying, and I was like,
Oh
wow. I could tell
no.
he was the same type of person as me, that he would feel it the same way I felt it. And that was the song that also made me find him as an artist. So like led me on the journey of like becoming a fan of him, sort of thing. But yeah, those two songs, listen, they're great.
Powerful. Well, they can add to the playlist next time. I need a good. I imagine you've got some banging playlists on your.
Yeah, I've got some good. I've got ones that are like literally. I got one that's called Deep AF, which is just like songs that literally. Let me see if I can just get one for you. Just because I'll probably look at it and be like, yeah, the song is the one. What about you? What are your songs?
To be fair, you just reminded me of one. When you mentioned Justin Bieber, there's a song that he did, and I'm pretty sure it's from that album. That really, really spoke to me.
I love that album.
It's gonna really bother me now. Lonely with Benny
Oh,
Blanco.
yeah.
There's something about that song that I just felt like the first time I heard it, I was like, I think he's talking about me. I
Yeah.
think I think this is written about me. But to be fair, it could be anything. There's a song that's it's not even a sad song. Is I've got obviously a few years back we went through like a pretty traumatic thing where we nearly lost my mom to an operation that went wrong. She's now like in a neurological care home, like
Wow.
basically trying to get some kind of quality of life. So me and my sister have kind of just been kind of like best friends, really. And there's a song that Clean Bandit did with Craig David called "We Were Just Kids," and I have never, like, even talking about it, like the hairs on my arms standing up, because I've never heard a song before that has so perfectly described mine and my sister's relationship before. and it was just
Right.
yeah. So that one to me, and it's not even like a sad song. It's quite like clean what you expect from a clean
Yeah,
bandit
yeah,
song. It's quite like poppy,
yeah,
classical kind of thing.
yeah.
But yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful song.
I love Craig David as well, and I think
I know
he
what
had a
God.
song called "It's Unreleased," and it's I don't even know if it's on YouTube. I got it from like the days when like torrents were a thing. Like
Oh, I remember that.
you couldn't
Live
get
wire.
you couldn't get a song, yeah. And it was like a random Craig David song. It's called "Snows in July," and it's like a love song, but he's basically saying like, "I will stop loving you when it snows in July," which obviously will never happen.
Never.
The
Yeah.
lyrics were so. I mean, I went for a breakup and listened to that, and I was like, this couldn't be more perfect to just the way he was just describing things.
Yeah.
When people capture that stuff, that's why music is like when you get the right song and people capture you like that. I've got so many artists that like, yeah, I could just put them on. Like Tori Kelly is my favorite female artist, and she's got certain songs.
What a
Like,
voice.
what a
What a
voice!
voice.
I'll
Oh
marry
my
her
God.
tomorrow.
Oh my God.
I remember I was ill basically in one of our when we did the 2012 Olympic tour. We were
Yeah.
first day of rehearsals, and I got some sort of bug. And I was ill. I went to rehearsals, was sick. They sent me home, and I couldn't sleep. And she just released her first handwritten EP or whatever it was at the
Yeah.
time. And I put it on literally next to my ear, and it was the only thing that could put me to sleep. And now that album's just got like a thing for me that like when I
Yeah.
feel ill, I could just put it on, and it like it just centers me and makes me just
Wow.
fall asleep. But the lyrics in that and just the etherealness of her voice and everything is just like, yeah, incredible.
I
Love
need
it.
to go and check that out then because like
Yeah.
childishly, I discovered her through the film Sing and
Yeah.
her cover of Hallelujah.
Yeah.
And I knew the song, but I won't listen to any other version of that song now apart from hers.
John Bellion
Is
and Tori Kelly are my all-time like top people. Just as a songwriting and music and just like the sound that they create. Like John Bellion's not necessarily like a singer that like sings his thing off, but the way he sings, it just sets the feeling that you need. You know what I mean? And she's the same. Like when she gets into that place where it puts you in your feels, is like,
yeah.
like I can just chill out to her at any time.
It's time for Sing It, Sack It. Is it a hit or are they talking shit? Welcome to Sing It or Sack It. This is
Oh,
the part of the show where I dissect one of the most famous songs in the world for their lyrics. Now, obviously, as a singer-songwriter yourself now, and obviously you're a bit of a weirdo like me, where we connect with the lyrics of songs. I know.
that's what you're meant to do. Fine.
Exactly. It's fair. It's what, yeah, actually, yeah, no, I needed that.
Yeah,
Actually,
you're
sort of
meant
stop
to.
calling myself a weirdo.
That's what they're there for. They were made for that specific
The
reason.
big reason.
So, yeah.
I'm not weirdo. Cheers for that, Glenn. But this week, so basically what happened, sorry, I'll explain the segment. If you agree with it, we're going to sing it. But if we're not quite feeling it, or it's like, not feeling that, we're going to sack it off. And this might be quite a controversial one because it's probably one of the biggest songs of the past probably 10 years. And it's Pharrell Williams' Happy. So very popular song. But the lyrics to me are a little bit, okay, I don't quite get it. So I'm going to read them out. And obviously, if we agree with it, we're going to sing it. And if we don't, we're going to sack it off. But the lyrics go like this. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you feel that what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel that that's what you want to do. This probably doesn't help that I read it out in probably the whitest voice. Possibly.
Taking the soul out of it, but
completely just ripped it apart. But what is a room without a roof?
I think it just means like when you like, you have a party or you sing the roof off or, tear the house down. It's a saying. I think it's more that feeling. I think it's like we blow the roof off with the energy of like that happy feeling, like a room without a roof. I think that's what he's going with for that.
I know what I needed that because ever since that song was released, I was like, I have no bloody clue what you're singing about.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of idea behind it. Yeah, room without a roof is like, just blowing the roof off with the energy, I think.
Do you know what? Actually, I don't know what this just reminded me of, but like fun fact about Pharrell Williams, you can tell he's produced a song because he always does a 4 count into the song.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. Every song that Pharrell ever does, it has the 4 count in. It's the same with Blurred Lines. Produce that, and it's like dun 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 dun. Everybody get up, and which is also a questionable song, but that's for another episode. But yeah, clap along if you feel what happiness is to you.
If you feel
What the hell is even that?
I don't know. I think that's just get everyone clapping. I can't defend that. It's like that. Oh, I have no idea. I can't defend that.
But to be fair, in general, what we do? Are we singing it? Are we sacking it? What do you
I'm
think?
only going to say sing it simply because the feeling of the song is so happy. Like he couldn't have written a happier,
Be
happy
a
song.
song.
Like
It's
it's
true.
genius for that. Like it's so annoying. I never want to hear it, but I never want to hear it because it was so big and so good. Do you get what I mean? Like I'm completely over it in
Completely get
every
it.
like source of it. But I also am jealous that I didn't write it, if that makes sense. Even though
Oh, that's a good question.
what if you wish you could have
Is
written?
there a song, yeah, that you wish you had wrote?
So many. End of the Road by Boys to Men.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When that comes in, oh, that bit. Like I always say, imagine I ask people is if you could be in the studio with someone and hear them sing something for the first time, what would it be? Mine would have been End of the Road or Michael Jackson. Just the feeling of him doing the "You knocked me off of my feet." That, but like, imagine being there. He's like, "Yeah, sorry, I've got I just want to try this," and he goes, "You knocked me." That feeling of him singing that, I would have just been like, dun 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 dun. Dun. Like you would have literally, I would have thrown everything off the table, and I'd have been like, "What the hell was that?" Like I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I can't imagine the person in the studio when he walks in and goes, "Okay, count me in," and then he sings that. That for me is like, yeah, mad. What about you? If you could be in the studio with someone when they sang something,
I think I'd have to go for like a powerhouse. I think I'd have to go for like
Whitney.
a Whitney, or maybe like Adele, someone like you.
Yeah.
I mean, hearing that song anyway does something to me, but imagine hearing that like completely stripped back
I just
in
imagine it for the
Silent
first
Room.
time and like Whitney just going, and like
Yeah.
a belty voice, and you're just in the studio going, yeah, that's a good take.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
go one more
great. Yeah,
time.
yeah.
What? Mind blowing. Mind
Oh my
blowing.
God. To be fair, you have been an absolute belter of a guest.
Thank
Like
you.
I genuinely, I don't want the conversation to end. I could sit all night and talk to you about music, but obviously we're busy people. We've got things, but we haven't. I'm saying that like I haven't got
Very
anything to
chill,
do.
but yeah, all
But
good.
you've been genuinely an incredible guest, and I wish you all the best, obviously, with the single and continued success. But also massively respect what you're doing, because I wish there was more people like you around when I was kind of going through what I did, but even when I was younger as well, because it's so inspiring, mate. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
appreciate
thank
that.
you
Thank
for
you, man.
joining.